Hare Krishna. Today we are very fortunate. Today's class is given by His Grace Krishna Charan Prabhu. I will read some of his introduction part, then I will hand over this call to Prabhuji. His Grace Krishna Charan Prabhu joined in 2001 in Hyderabad after doing his BE. He is disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Paru Swami Maharaj. He was doing college teaching in several colleges including JNTU Hyderabad, NIT Bhopal, NIT Allahabad, IIT Indore, IIT Jabalpur and IIT Allahabad in India, and Open Temple University in Philadelphia. Prabhuji preached to youth and congregation in English language, Hindi and Telugu. Prabhuji also preached in India, South Africa, USA and Bangladesh. Currently, Prabhuji is situated in Allahabad and preached in nearby areas like Banaras and Jabalpur. Also, he teaches Shastric course like Bhakti Shastri, Disciple course, among others. Prabhuji, we are very, very fortunate. Thank you for this valuable session. Prabhuji, please take over this call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So should we start with verse recitation, or should we directly go for discussion? Should we recite the verse together?
Prabhuji, you can chant Mangalacharan and recite the shloka, and then we can have discussion.
Okay. I will recite the shloka and then the translation and purport, and then we can discuss, right? Okay. All right. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. So we can recite the verse, and then after reading the translation and purport, then I'll chant Mangalacharan. Is that okay, Madhuri?
Puji.
Hare Krishna?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So then we'll recite the verse. This is 4th Canto, Chapter 6, verse number 41. And please repeat. तथा परे सिद्धगणा महर्षिभिः
तथा परे सिद्धगणा महर्षिभिः
ये वै समन्ताद् अनुनीललोहितम्
ये वै समन्ताद् अनुनीललोहितम्
नमस्कृतः प्राह शशाङ्कशेखरम्
नमस्कृतः प्राह शशाङ्कशेखरम्
कृतप्रणामं प्रहसन्निवात्मभूः
कृतप्रणामं प्रहसन्निवात्मभूः.
Okay. I'll read the translation. All the sages who were sitting with Lord Shiva, such as Narada and others, also offered their respectful obeisances to Lord Brahma. After being so worshipped, Lord Brahma, smiling, began to speak to Lord Shiva. Okay. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma was smiling because he knew that Lord Shiva is not only easily satisfied, but easily irritated as well. He was afraid that Lord Shiva might be in an angry mood because he had lost his wife and had been insulted by Daksha. In order to conceal this fear, he smiled and addressed Lord Shiva as follows. Okay. So, before we start, we'll do offer prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Svabhadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nitinamini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. So the situation, let me give you the background. You all must be already aware, but I will just tell briefly. Lord Shiva's wife Sati, she had immolated herself and the assembly of Daksha, where he was performing a sacrifice. Daksha Prajapati, her father, was performing a sacrifice in which Lord Shiva was not invited. But still, Sati goes out of affection, but then she hears blasphemy of Lord Shiva, because of which she felt it was intolerable, and so she immolated her body. And then, when the news came to Lord Shiva, he was very, very angry. He creates Virabhadra, and then he sends Virabhadra, who is a partial expansion of Lord Shiva. He sends him to destroy Daksha's sacrifice, and Virabhadra with his associates, with the associates of Lord Shiva, they all go to Daksha's yajna or sacrifice, and then they ransack the whole sacrifice, and they Virabhadra cuts off the head of Daksha Prajapati. And then after the whole destruction was done, Lord Shiva left. Obviously Lord Shiva never went there also. So he was sitting peacefully under a tree, under a banyan tree, and then he was giving a kind of lecture. He was speaking on Srimad Bhagavatam to all the devotees, especially the sages headed by Narad Muni. So he was giving a discourse. He was looking like the best of the sages, the best of the thinkers, the best of the jnanis, Lord Shiva. So as he was giving this discourse, Lord Brahma and the demigods, they felt that yajna should not be interrupted in the middle. So they wanted to request Lord Shiva to come to forgive Daksha and to participate in the yajna to be continued. So in order to do that, it's a tough task, because he just lost his wife, and Lord Shiva was obviously extremely angry. And to appease Lord Shiva, even Brahma was afraid, as it is explained in the purport. But Brahma was also afraid that he might, because Lord Shiva can be easily irritated and he can be easily pleased also. So just to conceal or to hide his fear, he was smiling. So he was smiling, and he's going to glorify Lord Shiva in several verses. And so that is a scenario. But just before this, what happened is, when Lord Brahma came to the assembly, there, he was there, our Lord Shiva, and all the sages headed by Narad Muni. They were in the discourse. The sages were hearing. When Brahma came, Lord Shiva stood up out of respect. Lord Shiva stood up because Brahma is his father. Brahma is his father, so he stands up. Lord Shiva stood up and to offer respect to Brahma. And when Lord Shiva stood up, then all the other sages also stood up out of respect for Brahma. And they were following the example of Lord Shiva. So here the example has been given that Lord Shiva is actually more powerful than Brahma also. His position is actually more exalted than Lord Brahma's position. But still, Lord Shiva, out of etiquette, because Brahma is his father, therefore out of etiquette he stood up, out of respect and out of etiquette. And he is setting the example for others to follow. So this is a very instructive point. Although actually Lord Shiva is spiritually more elevated than Brahma, still he is showing the etiquette of how to respect superiors. I mean, superiors in terms of position, in terms of age, and other considerations. The example given in the next verse, in the next few verses also we're going to see, is that of Vaman Dev offering respect to Kashyapa. Vaman Dev is the incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he is the son of Kashyap Rishi. So obviously Vaman Dev is far superior to Kashyap Rishi, but still he was offering respect to his father because he was his father. Similarly, we can see Lord Ram Chandra also, as a Maryada Purushottam, he showed the same example. He offered respect to his gurus, his father, parents, and everyone. And similarly, Lord Krishna also, he offered respects and he served his guru Sandipani Muni when he was in the ashram. So in this way, they are showing by example. So the point here is that respecting superiors is very, very important. That is the point. That's one of the most important points. Actually, I'm going to touch upon mainly 2 points from this purport, from this translation and purport. One is the importance of respecting the superiors. And then I'm also going to talk about Lord Shiva and how the devotees see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these 2 points I'm going to touch. First, I'll explain about respecting superior personalities. So, respecting superiors is one of the most important aspects of devotional service. And so, those who respect the superiors, they get the blessings of the superiors. And those who do not respect, or those who fail to offer respect to superiors, they get cursed. Right? Those who fail to offer respect, they get cursed. We have seen many examples of that. In the apparently, it may appear to be a very small mistake, but how they were punished. Just like, for example, Romaharshan Sutta. Romaharshan Sutta was giving discourse on Srimad Bhagavatam and the Purana, and all the sages of Naimisharanya, they were sitting and hearing. At that time, Lord Balram comes to the assembly, and Romaharshan Sutta does not get up. He remains seated on the Vyasasana, and he continues to speak, ignoring Lord Balram. So, because Lord Balram is the original Guru, Adi Guru, he is the first expansion of the Supreme Lord, so he must be respected. So, actually, Romaharshan Sutta was supposed to get up from his Vyasasana and offer obeisances. Although actually it is also said that one doesn't have to get up from Vyasasana while giving class. Generally, while giving class, if some senior devotee comes, you don't have to get up from Vyasasana. But Balram could sense that he was not getting up because of false pride, because he was not having enough respect for Balram. And because of that false ego, he did not offer respect, while other sages, they respected Balram by getting up. So Balram got angry, and he took a blade of grass and he chanted some mantra, and with the blade of grass he threw it on Romaharshan Sutta and he killed him. So Romaharshan Sutta was dead, and he was saying that at that time Balram said that this person has all theoretical knowledge, but he has no respect for superiors. Because of this, whatever he has learnt is waste. So therefore, it's very important. It may appear he just did not get up from Vyasas, and for that he was killed. It may appear like a very strong punishment, for a small offense. Apparently, we may appear like, oh, he just did not get up from his seat. For that, Balram had killed him. But actually, Balram can see deep inside, obviously, because he is a Paramatma. He can see that how much false ego Brahmarshin Suta has. So he purified him by killing. Similarly, we see also in the case of Yadavas, the family members of Lord Krishna, the Samba, one of the sons of Lord Krishna, he and some other boys, young boys, they went to the rishis who came to Dwarka. So the boys went to the rishis and they dressed up Samba like a girl, like a woman, like a pregnant woman. Just for fun, they were trying to make fun of the rishis. And they said, okay, tell us whether this girl will give birth to a boy or a girl. So the rishis cursed them that she will give birth to a lump of iron, which will be the cause of the death or destruction of the whole Yadu dynasty. So then that from Samba's his womb, not womb, from his dress came out this lump of iron, and that became the cause of destruction for the whole Yadu dynasty. So the point is that disrespecting even a slight offense, apparently small offense to a great personality, can also cause havoc. Like we can also see that like Srila Prabhupada's senior godbrother B.R. Sridhar Maharaj, one of the senior disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he came to see Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur in ISKCON in the initial days. So as soon as Prabhupada got the news that Sridhar Maharaj came, he immediately came down from his quarters. He welcomed him and he offered him all the, he offered him seat and then he garlanded and started talking to him. And so in that way he offered respect to his senior godbrother. We can see this by example, etiquette. And also in Srimad Bhagavatam also, there are many other examples like Prithu Maharaj. He respected the 4 Kumaras. It is said that when the 4 Kumaras, they came to Prithu Maharaj's place, Prithu Maharaj was immediately, he was attracted to them just like a materialistic person is attracted to sense gratification. Just as we are attracted to sense gratification very naturally, similarly he was very naturally attracted to the 4 Kumaras. He made them seated, he offered obeisances, and then he washed their feet and drank the Charanamrita and sprinkled that water on the heads of everyone. So in that way, he greatly respected the 4 Kumaras, although Prithu Maharaj was the emperor of the whole world. So in this way, we can see how superior personalities have to be respected. We can see this also in Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. When they were in Ramkeli, they used to have Bhagavad Katha at home, Bhagavatam discussions at home. So many saints would come, and whenever any sadhu came to their palace, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they would get down from their big seat. They were Prime Minister and Finance Minister. Still they would get down from their seat, they would welcome that sadhu. Although he was looking like a beggar or something, still they would get down, they would go and welcome him, offer him seat, offer him prasadam, and offer obeisances. And in that way, they respected every single sadhu who came. So these are all examples which we can see. And on the other hand, those who do not respect, they fall down. Even apparently small disrespect also. You may think, oh, it's a small disrespect. But even a small disrespectful act can actually cause big havoc in our spiritual life. Prabhupada explains that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was very strong in his preaching. He was very strong and he would cut the arguments of Mayavadis and all. So some of the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they criticized Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They said that, oh, this is a chopping technique and it will not work. They said something like that. This is chopping technique and this will not work. They criticized the preaching technique or preaching style of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, their own spiritual master. And Prabhupada said that those who criticized, they all fell down. Right? They all fell down. We can also see in Srila Prabhupada's pastime that Prabhupada, obviously, he converted hippies into happies, and some of them became gurus and GBCs, and they became leaders. So one such big leader in ISKCON, I won't tell the name, when Srila Prabhupada, he developed an attitude that, I'm also very great, now almost like Prabhupada. So once he was sitting with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada told him, can you please get me a glass of water? And the devotee was so arrogant, he said, Prabhupada, you can take it yourself. It is nearby. Why you are telling me? He said like that. And very soon that person fell down. So that's what happens. So the point is that, if slight offense to a devotee or a great advanced Vaishnava can be a very big setback to our spiritual life, right? And there are many ways one can offend. One can offend by not giving proper reception when a Vaishnava comes. If you don't give proper reception, or if you don't follow the proper etiquette, if you don't follow Vaishnava etiquette, that's also disrespect. And moreover, if we criticize, is the worst thing. Criticizing Vaishnavas, that is the worst thing, obviously. But even if you don't criticize, even even if you are failing to offer the proper respect, that means proper reception, proper treatment according to his position. If we don't do that, that is also failing to offer respect. Is also a kind of offense, right? So therefore, we have to be very, very careful in that regard, not to. So Lord Shiva, he is setting an example. Lord Shiva is on the level of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but still he is getting up to offer respect to Brahma, his father. And because Lord Shiva is offering respect to Brahma, others, they are also offering respect to, like Narada and all. Obviously, they all also got up. They followed the leader, right? So this is one important lesson. Another important lesson we can see is that Lord Brahma became afraid of Lord Shiva. He was afraid because, naturally Lord Shiva lost his wife, and so now again we are requesting him to come to the sacrifice. That is like, he may be angry again. We don't know. Maybe he's still angry. So Lord Brahma, he was hiding his fear by smiling. He was speaking to Lord Shiva so that he can hide the fear he is having in his heart. The question may be raised that why is Lord Brahma afraid? Lord Brahma should be beyond. He is also, after all, he is the creator. He is also one of the incarnations of the Lord. So the thing is, anyone who is affected by the modes of material nature, he becomes afraid. Like Lord Brahma, although he is also a guna avatar, a qualitative incarnation of the Supreme Lord, because of the work of creation, he becomes entangled in the mode of passion. So therefore, because of being entangled in the mode of passion, he also becomes affected by fear. On the other hand, those who are pure devotees, of course Brahma is a pure devotee, but sometimes he becomes affected by mode of passion because of his work. But pure devotees, they are never afraid of the Supreme Lord. Actually, there is a very nice Vaishnava bhajan. It actually explains how the Supreme Personality of Godhead is realized by different people in different ways, according to their degree of realization. Like for Jnanis, the absolute truth is Brahma Jyoti, or the formless, impersonal Brahman. Brahma Jyoti is a formless aspect. So for Jnanis, they realize the absolute truth as impersonal Brahman, right? And for those who are afraid of the Supreme Lord, or those who worship the Supreme out of fear, right? They worship the Supreme Lord in the form of Lord Shiva, right? The fearsome aspect, and Kal Bhairav also. There is also a fearsome aspect of the Supreme Lord. And also those who worship the Supreme Lord or the Supreme as energy. Some people think that God is energy. So they worship in the form of Shakti. Shakteyas. They worship Durga, Kali, Chandi, Chamunda. And so these forms. And for them, God is just nothing but energy. Right? So, and in this way, different people have different conceptions about God, and they have different degrees of realization of God. So Lord Shiva is also non-different from the Supreme Personality of God. He is also an incarnation or an aspect of the Supreme Lord only. Now this Vaishnava Vajan explains that, but what is the complete realization of the Supreme Lord? The complete realization of the Supreme Lord is to see him as a loving person. When you see Krishna as a loving person, when you see God as a loving person, the most lovable person and the most loving person, then it is Krishna. When you think of God as the most sweetest, lovable, loving personality, then you see him as Krishna. When you see God as a very fearsome personality, that's why his name is Rudra. Rudra means one who is very angry. So Lord Shiva is, because he is controlling the mode of ignorance. So anger is in the mode of ignorance. So therefore, Lord Shiva's anger, there's a prayer in the Vedas. It says, Namaste Rudra Manyava. That means we are offering respect to the anger of Lord Shiva. Offering prayers to the anger of Lord Shiva. Because Lord Shiva's anger is purifying the whole world. Because with his anger he will destroy the world, and that's how he purifies the whole world. At the time of Pralay, the people are so sinful. At the time of destruction, people are so sinful that the only way they can be purified is by killing them, is by destroying them. Right? So, by his anger, he is purifying the whole world in that way. So, his anger is worshipable. So for those who want to see God as a very fearsome person, for them he is Rudra or Kal Bhairav. Right? For those who want to see God as an energy, for them he is Shakti or Durga. And for those who want to see God as out of jnana, out of mental speculation or out of philosophical speculation, for them, for the jnana, God is Brahmajyoti, impersonal Brahman. Now, but the question is, out of all these different types of realization, which is the highest, which is the most complete realization? When do you experience God in his complete form or in his complete personality and qualities? You can only experience God completely out of love. Therefore, Krishna says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Only by bhakti, only by love, you can completely understand me. So, those who are worshipping God out of fear, or those who are approaching God in the fearsome aspect or the angry aspect, they are also realizing God. The Shakteyas or the worshippers of Shakti, they are also realizing God. Jnanis, they are also realizing God, but in a partial way, not complete. So that is the difference. They are also realizing God to some degree, but that is not a complete realization. The complete realization is when you see God as the most lovable and loving, sweet, charming personality. And therefore, the Vaishnavas, and especially the Gaudiya Vaishnavas who worship Krishna as the most loving personality, they have complete realization of the Absolute Truth. So, you cannot realize God out of fear. That is not complete realization. And even the atheists realize God in the form of death. For them, death is the most fearsome thing. So they are also realizing God, but for them, God is Mrityu. But that is a very, very little, very limited realization of God. So the point is, Now, those who are worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, those who are worshipping Krishna, the Vaishnavas, even when they see Lord Shiva, they are not afraid. Understand? Because Lord Shiva is the fearsome aspect of God, but the Vaishnavas, even when they see Shiva or Parvati, they don't feel afraid, they feel love. Just like you can see in the Bhagavatam, Chitraketu Maharaj, he was cursed by Parvati. In the 6th canto it comes. Is it 6th canto or somewhere? I think 6th canto. So Chitraketu Maharaj, he was cursed by Parvati. He was flying in the sky in his airplane, and he sees Lord Shiva was giving Bhagavatam class, and Parvati was sitting in his lap. And then he jokes, saying that, oh, Lord Shiva, you are giving Bhagavatam class, but your wife is sitting in your lap, still you are giving class. Actually, his intention was to appreciate Lord Shiva, that still he is not agitated. Only Lord Shiva can do that he can have his wife sitting on his lap, but still mind is not agitated, and he can still speak Bhagavatam. So he's actually indirectly he was glorifying Lord Shiva, but Parvati, she misunderstood, and she became angry, and she cursed Chitraketu, saying that you become a demon. It's a terrible curse. Anybody would be very afraid, and he would shiver out of fear, and she was expecting that Chitraketu would come down and he would offer prayers, and he would beg for forgiveness, maafi mangega, or she was thinking that he would come and say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. But he did not do that. He came down, he offered obeisances, he offered parikrama of Lord Shiva and Parvati, he respected them, but he said, I accept your curse, thank you very much, I'm very grateful to you. And then he went back. He was not at all afraid. So Parvati was shocked. What is this? Everybody is afraid of us. Shiva is Rudra, everybody is afraid of Rudra, and I am Chandi, everybody is afraid of Chandi, Kali. And this guy is not at all afraid. What is wrong with him? She was shocked. And Lord Shiva understood the mind of Sati, Parvati. And he said, Narayana paras sarve nakutasya na vibhyati. Those who are worshippers of Lord Narayan, they are never afraid. Even when they see Mrityu, even when they see Yamaraj, even when they see Rudra in his most fierce form, even when they see Kali in her ghastly form, they are not afraid. They can, in that also they see the sweet loving glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because their realization is that God is the most loving personality. They see God in the most loving form. So therefore, even when they see Lord Shiva or Kal Bhairav also, they don't feel afraid, they feel happy. Like Prahlad Maharaj, he saw Narsingadev, he was not at all afraid. He is saying, Naham Bibhemi. Everybody, including Brahma, Shiva, even Lakshmi Devi was afraid, but Prahlad was not afraid. So the point is, the Vaishnavas, they may see Rudra in his angry form, but still they are not afraid. Because they say, this is our Krishna in a different form. And they see even in Rudra also they see Krishna only. Even in Lord Shiva also they see Krishna. They see Krishna everywhere. So even when he is displaying a very fearsome aspect, in that also they see Shyam Sundar only. So therefore they are not afraid. Right? So that is the thing. Because why they are not afraid? Because for them their realization is God is the most loving personality. Why should I be afraid? Because he loves me. Why should I be afraid? He is such a loving person. No need to be afraid. That is their realization. And on the other hand, those who are demons, even when they see a loving personality, they are also afraid. Like Shyam Sundar is most loving personality, but even in Vrindavan, when the demons came to see Krishna, they did not see him as loving personality. They saw him as a death personified. Kamsa thought of Krishna as death personified. He is always afraid. So Vaishnavas, even when they see Rudra, they see him as a loving person. They are not afraid. And on the other hand, demons, when they see even Shyam Sundar Krishna of Vrindavan, they are always afraid. So the point is, it depends on your realization. So why should we see God as a very fearsome person, the destroyer, the annihilator? That is a very, very, very low grade realization. The best realization is he is the most loving, caring and sweetest personality. That is the realization of the Vaishnavas. Therefore, the Vaishnava realization is the complete realization of absolute truth. Right? We can see Ambarish Maharaj also, when he saw that demon, he was coming to kill Durvasa Muni, he sent the demon. But Ambarish Maharaj, when he saw the demon, he was not thinking, oh, he is a demon, I should. He was not at all afraid. He didn't even blink an eyelid. He saw, this is the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If this is the result of my Ekadasi Vrat, let it come. I'll embrace it. That was his mood. Huh? So, and Prahlad Maharaj, when he was thrown in fire, the fire became cool. Why? Because he did not see the fire as fire. He saw the fire, in the fire also he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead only. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead for him is always very sweet and cool. So even in fact it became cool for him because his vision is like that. And when the snakes were thrown on him, poisonous, deadly snakes, they became garlands because he did not see the snakes as snakes. He saw the snakes as also energy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he saw the loving glance of Krishna everywhere. So therefore everything became sweet for him because of his vision. So similarly in our life also, if we see Krishna, Shyam Sundar everywhere, then whatever happens in our life, we'll see it as Krishna's mercy. We'll see that Krishna, this is Krishna's smile. Anything happening in our life, oh, behind that we can see Krishna smiling. Krishna is smiling. So we are not afraid, we are not worried, we are not in anxiety thinking, oh, why this happened, why it is happening like this, or why this person did this to me, or what to do, what will happen to my future. Devotees are not thinking like that. Why? Because they can see Krishna everywhere. Whatever happens, behind that Krishna's hand is there. And Krishna loves me. Krishna is the sweetest person. So, with that attitude, a devotee can convert fire also into cooling ice cubes. He can convert poisonous snakes also into garlands, like Prahlad Maharaj. Right? So, the devotees, they are never afraid of Lord Shiva also, even when they see Rudra doing Tandav Nritya, the most fearsome aspect which destroys the whole universe. When a pure Vaishnava sees that form, then also he is not afraid. He sees him as Shyam Sundar. So, but here Lord Brahma is afraid. Why? Although he is also pure devotee, because he became affected by mode of passion. मतलब उनको अभी यज्ञ कराना है, अभी यज्ञ होगा कि नहीं होगा, उसके लिए क्या करना है, how should I make the yajna possible? So because of that mode of passion influence, he actually became little anxious. So therefore he was touched by the modes of Rajogun. Therefore he became afraid by seeing Lord Shiva. Although Lord Shiva was not at all angry at that time. He got up, he offered respects to Brahma, and then in the future verses we will see Lord Shiva was very, very peaceful and very happy and composed. And he said, I am not actually angry with Daksha also. I actually killed him just to teach him a lesson so that next time he'll not make the same mistake. So the point is that he was not angry, but Brahma was afraid that maybe he's angry. So therefore we are not afraid of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We see him as the most loving personality. So for us the Supreme Absolute Truth is the most lovable and loving object. Right? With that attitude only you can have full realization of the Supreme Lord. So those who have that kind of vision, Kaivalyam Narakayate Tridisapura Akasa Pushpayate, Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur is saying that for those who are pure devotees, for them, even liberation is equal to hell. Kaivalya, matlab, impersonal liberation of merging into absolute truth. That's also like hell. Because why? Why it is hell? Because in fact it's worse than hell. Because in hell also you can serve the Supreme Lord. Pure devotee can serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead even in hell. But in Brahma Jyoti you cannot do that because you are merged in the Brahma Jyoti, so you cannot do service. So therefore, merging in Brahma Jyoti is worse than going to hell for Vaishnavas. Kaivalyam Narakayate, Tridisapur Akasa Pushpayate. Even heavenly enjoyment, for him it is of no use. He has no desire for that. And Durdantendriya Kala Sarpa Patali Protkhata Damstrayate. He says that all the deadly senses, deadly senses which are like compared to deadly serpents, snakes, poisonous snakes, venomous snakes. Our senses are compared to venomous snakes, which can bite and kill us at any moment. Very difficult to control. Durdanta means very difficult to control senses. But for pure devotee, he is not at all afraid of that, because it's like the snakes are very poisonous, but if you remove the fangs of the snakes, then it has no poison. It cannot bite. So it is just like a toy. It cannot do anything to you. So similarly for devotee, the senses are like that. And then Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. The whole universe is full of happiness. Generally we say this world is miserable, right? According to Bhagavad Gita, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshana Darshanam Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. This world is Dukkhalayam. It is full of all miseries, birth, death, old age, disease. But for pure devotees, Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. The whole universe is full of happiness, because everywhere they are seeing Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vidhi Mahendra Adishya Kitayate. Even Brahma, Indra and all the great demigods, they are like insects. They are, for him, for the pure devotee, they are as good as insects. So, Yat Karunya Kataksha Vaibhavavatam Sam Gaurame Vastuma. For those who achieved the complete mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for them all these things happen. That means for them the liberation is worse than hell, heavenly planets are phantasmagoria, then the whole world is full of happiness, the senses are like snakes with fangs removed, and then the great demigods, they are just like insects, and the whole world is full of happiness for them. The devotee is always happy, internally he is in ecstasy, whatever happens. Yasmin Sthitovana Dukhyana Guruna Apavichalyate. Gita says that a pure devotee, even the greatest problems also, he is not disturbed, because he sees Shyam Sundar smiling behind that situation. You can see many examples. Prabhupada, he faced so many things, so many challenges in his life. He went through, we all know his life, how much difficulties he went through. But he could see Krishna is smiling behind all that. So he was not afraid. He was not in total. Otherwise, we'll be in total anxiety. We'll be like, we'll go into depression. At the age of 70, you go to America. And at one point of time, in the first one, it happened that he was staying with a hippie, and that hippie tried to attack him, and then he had to suddenly leave. And when he left, he did not have anything in his hand, and he did not know where to go. Imagine 70-year-old man in a foreign country without any money. He's just going somewhere, doesn't know where to go. In that situation, anybody would be depressed, and he would probably commit suicide, thinking that this preaching is not, at least he'll go back to India. But Prabhupada was blissful. So the point is, a pure devotee, he is not afraid. He is just always blissful. Therefore, Abhaya, Abhay Charan is one of the names of the Supreme Lord. So these are some of the thoughts that we can share on this verse. And so a devotee always sees Krishna. Of course, this is ideal. Right now for us it's difficult. At least we can try to see behind, at least philosophically we can understand that whenever any calamities come, we can see Krishna is behind it. So we are not afraid. We should not be afraid. We should just see it as Krishna's loving reciprocation, even tough situations. So that is an important lesson. And devotees see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For us, the Absolute Truth is a loving person. That is our realization. For those whose realizations are lesser, they see Absolute Truth is a source of fear. For some of them, it's an object of knowledge. For some, it is energy. For some, it is something else like that. But these are all partial. And then, respecting superior personalities. Lord Shiva is teaching by example how to respect superior personalities. Those who respected, they were blessed. And those who failed to respect, they lost everything and they had to suffer. And even for apparently a small mistake. It's not small mistake, but disrespecting a great personality even a little bit can be a grave offense. So these are all some of the lessons which you can derive from this verse. Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for this very nice lecture. This is Damodar Anand Das from Bloomington, Illinois. Prabhuji, I have two questions for you.
Yeah, can you speak a little louder, maybe near the microphone? I can't hear you very clearly.
Okay. Let me see.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Can you hear me better now, Prabhu?
Yeah, it's better. Yes.
Okay. So, this is Damodar Anand Das from Bloomington, Illinois. Prabhuji, thank you very much for your wonderful lecture this morning. Thank you for your time. I have two questions. They are not very elaborate questions. I had read in the Bhagavatam that Rudra, the name of Lord Shiva, was given because he cried when he was born from in between the eyes of Brahma. So that's what one of the meanings of Rudra is. But you're right, Rudra in Sanskrit means something very fearsome or, scary. So that was one of things. He was Rudra because he cried when he was born. He was named Rudra. Second is Prabhu, that thank you very much for mentioning. I was not sure that the Sayujya liberation, that's when somebody merges with Krishna, like Shishupal did, is the same as merging with Brahm Jyoti, which the Mayavadis want to get. They want to merge with the Absolute Truth. So that was very nice. Thank you very much for pointing that out. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Regarding Rudra, the thing is, Lord Brahma named him as Rudra because, as you said, he cried when he was born, and because of his crying, Rudan. So he was named Rudra. That is for Lord Brahma. For Lord Brahma, he is his son. So for him, he is like a crying child. But for us, he is not like a crying child. For us, for conditioned souls, he is the most fearsome personality. Especially the sinful people. For them, he is Raudra. The word Raudra comes from Rudra, which also means fearsome. And so it depends on who is seeing. For Brahma, he is maybe a crying baby, but for us, he is not a crying baby. For us, he is a destroyer. So it has both the meanings, Prabhuji. Sanskrit words have multiple meanings. So that meaning applies to Brahma, and this meaning applies to us. This is my perception. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam. I am Rohit.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Prabhuji, I thank you for this beautiful lecture. I really appreciated the point. I really want to know how Prahlad Maharaj is so fearless, and today you explained it very beautifully. Also, the point of respecting the seniors, superiors to us is what I have to learn more and more. Thank you for this beautiful class.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share Srimad Bhagavatam and for my purification. And thank you all very much for the opportunity again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble messages. Very, very nice class you have given, and it's very to the point. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
I don't Hare Krishna. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Please come again.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Hare.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Very, very beautiful class, Prabhuji, and very nicely you collected all the points from different places. So, Prabhuji, you were saying about the 4 Kumaras. I missed that point, Prabhuji. Can you repeat again?
Okay. So Pratham Maharaj is actually an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he is a Shakti-Avesh avatar. That means he is not Sakshat Bhagavan, but he is a living entity who has been empowered by the special power of the Supreme Lord. In that way, he is also an incarnation. And he is the emperor of the whole world. And the word Prithvi came from Prithvi. So the earth is called Prithvi from Prithu Maharaj, because Prithu Maharaj ruled the whole world. So, he was ruling, and at one point of time, 4 Kumaras were sons of Lord Brahma, the original first sons of Lord Brahma, the 4 Kumaras. So, they all look like 5-year-old kids. They are naked. But they are the greatest jnanis. So, they came to the palace of Prithu Maharaj. So, when they came, Prithu Maharaj, although he was emperor, he got down from his, he actually made them sit, and he bowed down to them, he washed their feet, and then he sprinkled that water on his head, took the Sharanamrit, and then he distributed to everyone. In that way, he respected the 4 Kumaras greatly, and he was very eager to receive them, just like we are eager to, Christians also are eager for sense gratification. In the same way, he was eager for serving them. So, that is how he set an example. And then Kumaras were very pleased, and then they gave him spiritual knowledge. He asked them different questions, and they answered those questions. And beautiful conversation that comes in Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is the point, that that's how we should respect the superior Vaishnavas, and then serve them. That's how we give their mercy and knowledge from them. So that is the lesson from this process.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. So, and also I like the point when you said, like, give the example about Srila Prabhupada, how he was respecting his senior God brothers. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. I can hear you.
Very, very wonderful point you brought, that the supreme form of God is loving. So that angle was very good, and you mentioned it again and again, so it becomes very good impression or understanding. From that point of view, I wanted to make one point. So one who becomes fortunate to come in contact with Krishna, then his destination is not the most condemned destination of the Mayavadis. Those who even get killed by Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam described, with which snigdha swarupam yayu. So anybody, not only those who snigdha means those who loved Krishna, they attain their eternal position in the spiritual world, but also those who were inimical to Krishna, or they were killed by Krishna, they all attain their eternal swarup in the spiritual world. They were not condemned in the impersonal Brahmajyoti. That's the speciality of coming in touch with Krishna, and that's why.
Actually, can I answer that? Are you finished?
Yes, good.
Yeah. So in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami explains this point, that although those who are killed by Krishna and the Jnanis, those who are meditating on impersonal Brahma Jyoti, they attain liberation, but that liberation is different from the liberation that is attained by the Vaishnavas. They attain Sahyajya Mukti, which is actually temporary. That means they merge into the impersonal Brahma Jyoti, but they do not stay there forever. They actually fall down from that position, and then they again have to take birth, and then only when they perform devotional service, when they perform bhakti, then only they'll attain the Swarup. Actually, those who are killed by Krishna, they don't attain Swarup. They only get, the Asuras who are killed by Krishna, they get Sahyajya Mukti, and in Sahyajya Mukti, they don't attain their original Swarup. There they are only attaining the Brahma Jyoti. There their original form of the spiritual world, that is not manifested. So that liberation is a temporary liberation, and so that is not desired by the Vaishnavas. So what is attained by the Vaishnavas is of a different nature. So that liberation which is attained by the Mayavadis and by the demons, that is a kind of punishment. Why it is punishment? Because there is no scope of service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because once you merge into Brahma Jyoti, you cannot offer devotional service over there. So there you are merged. Therefore, as I explained, Kaivalyam Narakayate. That means the impersonal liberation is worse than hell for the Vaishnavas. Why? Because in hell also you can serve Krishna, you can remember Krishna, but in impersonal Brahma Jyoti you cannot do that. So therefore the point is that so for devotees, Kaivalya is worse than hell. Is never accepted by Vaishnava. That kind of liberation, which is actually a kind of punishment for their offensive mentality. Because the Jnanis, especially the Mayavadis, they consider God as formless, and that is a kind of offense. And because of the offense, they are also put in the same category as the demons who are killed by Krishna. So they also attain Sahyajya Mukti. So Prabhupada explains all these things in Nectar of Devotion, and Rupa Goswami also explains in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which Prabhupada translated into English as Nectar of Devotion. So all this is clear if we study Nectar of Devotion and other books of Goswami.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji,
we are not,
on this point.
By the way, one more point. We are not condemning them. We are not condemning the Jnanis, but we are saying their realization is incomplete. Their realization is incomplete. Although that is also a form of realization. We are not saying that impersonal realization has no value, but it is not on par with devotional service. That distinction has to be understood. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, thank you very much. Yes, to bring out a point that people who get liberation when they are inimical to Krishna is different than when you are worshipping Krishna. That is very important. The other thing is that of the Sahyajya Mukti, the two examples that I know of are Shishupal and then Kamsa, in which Bhagavatam is described. So that you are saying they are like merging with the Brahm Jyoti, and yes, people who get that kind of mukti can fall down again. But then there is an example of like another demoness, Putana, who was actually, given Vaikuntha Lok, where he is serving as a mother, because she came disguised as mother, although she came to kill Krishna. For that reason, she went to Vaikuntha. She didn't merge with Brahm Jyoti or Sahyajya Mukti. And the reason given for
Putana, that's a good point.
The reason given for that
Putana attained that liberation because there's a reason, because she actually also wanted to serve the Supreme Lord. Initially, she wanted to serve the Supreme Lord, when actually in her last life she was the sister of Bali Maharaj. So when she saw Vamandev, she wanted to breastfeed that child. So she had that affection, and because of that affection, Krishna discounted her offensive behavior. He only took into consideration her affection, her love. So therefore he removed the poison by killing her, and then he just retained the loving propensity which she had exhibited previously. Yeah. So the point is that it is only through love you can attain, because she had that love for Krishna also initially. So because of that she attained that position. But without that bhakti, just other demons who were killed by the Lord, but they never had that bhakti, they actually never attained. And also example of Shishupal, he went ultimately back to Godhead because they were Jai Vijay. They were also initially devotees of the Supreme Lord. So my point is that only by bhakti you can go back to Godhead. You can attain your original position only through bhakti, not by any other means. Not by jnana, not by other types of other means. That is the point.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
The point which Srimad Bhagavatam establishes, and all our acharyas agree, the speciality of Krishna form. So when those who were killed by Krishna directly or either in his presence in the battlefield of Kurukshetra or anywhere, they became purified just by Krishna's glance. They lost all the inimical thing, or in case of Shishupal and everybody also. By seeing Krishna's presence, everybody got purified. And that's why Srimad Bhagavatam describes. You study Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, last chapter, and the last 4 slokas. In that, the speciality of Krishna is mentioned. It described that Vidvit Snigdha Swarupam Yayur. Everybody attained the Swarup, the eternal position. And that's the difference between Krishna form and other forms. In the form of Lord Ramchandra, Nrsimhadev, all the other forms, even that they were killed by different forms of God, because their attraction was not as supreme. But when they came across Krishna, by Krishna's unmatched beauty and attraction, by Krishna's glance, they all got purified and attained. So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam is our ultimate siddhanta. Vidvit Snigdha Swarupam Yayur. Yayur means attain. They attain their Swarupa. That's why Prabhuji, this Prabhuji who asked the question from Bloomington, that every demon, anybody who was killed by Krishna, they attained Swarup, Putana or anybody. Do we have any instance where anybody got killed by Krishna and he did not attain his Swarup? Because this is what Bhagavatam establishes. This is the difference between Krishna form and any other form. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yeah,
also.
Let me clarify that point, Prabhuji. Let me clarify that point. Actually, Bhagavatam has to be understood from the teachings of the Acharyas, especially Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada teachings, right? So Srila Prabhupada and Rupa Goswami both, especially in Nectar of Devotion as well as other literature, they explain that the demons who were killed by Krishna, they were all devotees before. And because of that devotion, but because of some curse, they were cursed to become devotees because of some offense or whatever, which was temporary. They got cursed and they became demons, and by being killed by Krishna, they attained the Swarup. Because Krishna removed their contamination, their whatever was covering, that was removed, and so because of their original bhakti came out. So the point is that the only point I am trying to make is without bhakti, you cannot attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's my original point. My point is that, like the demons who are killed by Krishna, either in form of Krishna or any incarnation of Krishna, it doesn't matter, Vishnu Tattva, whoever kills the demons, those demons who of course were originally, because of some curse, they became demons. So that curse or that impurity was removed and their original bhakti came, then they would attain Swarupa. But otherwise, the Rupa Goswami very categorically explains in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, you can read that, I can show you the quotations in Nectar of Devotion also, that those demons who are killed, they attain Sayujya. And that Sayujya is not, Prabhupada explains that in many, many places, not just one place. Prabhupada explains that several places, that Sahajya Mukti is not desirable. So they again come back and then they do devotional service and then they go back, or either they perform further sinful activities and fall down. So either two options are there. So the point is that without bhakti you cannot attain Krishna. That is my point. So they must have performed some bhakti in their past life, or in a different life, or in the same life they must have performed bhakti also and also some offense at the same time. That's why they became demons. So the point is they have a background of bhakti. So that bhakti background actually brought them to Krishna's association. That we have to understand. It is not by chance. So that bhakti background is what brings them back to Godhead.
Yes,
so without bhakti you cannot do that.
Yeah, that's why whosoever came in front of Krishna attained the Swarup, because it's not easy. It's not an ordinary thing to come in contact of Krishna either out of enmity or out of anything.
Yeah, I'm also saying same thing only. But my only point was that only by bhakti you can attain that supreme, the complete realization of the absolute truth. That was my whole point in the whole lecture. My point was simply that without bhakti, if somebody approaches Supreme Personality of Godhead, then that will not help him to go back to Godhead. There has to be some bhakti, which might be temporarily covered over. Krishna can remove that. But there has to be some sukriti, some bhakti unmukha sukriti. That means some bhakti should have been performed either in this life or previous life. Only that can actually enable you to go back to Godhead. That is the main point here.
Yes. So when one comes in contact of Krishna, even with inimical thought, as those who got killed by Krishna, so because they were already thinking of Krishna, because Krishna being all attractive, they attract everybody's attention. And now by getting Krishna's glance, they became purified. So that's the position of Krishna described in Srimad Bhagavatam. When Hiranyakashipu or Ravana...
Yes, they became purified. Like even, for example, even the Kurukshetra war, the people who were fighting in the Kurukshetra war, they all also, those who died in the presence of Krishna, they also got liberation. But that purification is different than going back to Godhead. Like some people can get purified and they go to Brahma Jyoti only. But to go back to Godhead, for that they have to perform devotional service. And that is actually what Prabhupada very clearly explains in many, many places. Actually, I would suggest that, we'll take this discussion elsewhere, because actually whatever I have said, it is based on Srila Prabhupada's teachings and Srila Prabhupada's books.
Yes.
And that can be further, if you can read those quotations elsewhere, I can give you multi-quotations. And all the acharyas are very, very emphatic at this point that without bhakti you can never attain Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like Duryodhana saw Krishna, for example. Duryodhana also saw Krishna, and he also, died in the presence of Krishna. He was killed by Bhima, but he did not go back to Godhead. Why? Because he did not have a background of devotional service. Prabhupada clearly explains, if you read the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada very clearly explains that Duryodhana, because he had envious attitude towards the Pandavas, therefore, although he died in the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, but still he did not go back to Godhead. Although he attained heavenly planets because he was purified of his sinful reactions, and he attained a higher stage, but he did not go back to Godhead. And also Dhritarashtra's example also can be taken. He also attained liberation by the mercy of Vidura, but he did not attain, Prabhupada clearly writes in the purport, that he did not attain the same liberation that Vaishnavas attained. His liberation was a different type of liberation. Right? Prabhupada very clearly writes the distinction in the purports. If you read first canto, all the purports, then you'll understand that. So therefore, there are examples where those who were killed in the presence of Krishna also, not everyone went to Vaikuntha. They could have gone to Brahma Jyoti or some other higher destination, but not back to Godhead. Some of them went back because of their past bhakti background, but not everyone. Those who did not perform bhakti, they don't go back to Godhead. Simple. Even if they are killed by Krishna or in the presence of Krishna.
So at one point I want to
make... So bhakti has to be there. Bhakti, the point is, acharyas are always glorifying bhakti more than Krishna's. Like Rupa Goswami in one place he says, in original Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu I was reading, He says, who is great? Those who get mercy of Krishna, they are more fortunate, or those who have bhakti to Krishna, they are more fortunate. Although yes, both are interrelated, but Rupa Goswami says that even if you get Krishna's mercy, if you don't have bhakti, bhakti is always glorified more than even Krishna by our acharyas. Bhakti is always greater, even it can even attract the supreme point. So it's even internal potency, so it is even higher than Krishna also in one sense you can say. So therefore, without bhakti, even if you are in the presence of Krishna, you cannot realize Krishna. So many people were seeing Krishna face to face when he was present on this planet, but they did not get that benefit.
The point was,
thank you very much. Very nice discussion.
Those who killed by Krishna, because this impersonal liberation we are condemning, correct?
Prabhuji, I would suggest that we can take this discussion elsewhere, because it has become quite a kind of a too long discussion. So maybe we should probably end here, and if any further things are there, we can we can either discuss it with some other devotee, or maybe take it from there.
Thank you very much for the wonderful class, Prabhuji. And I also do agree that without bhakti we cannot go home back to Godhead. So you very nicely explained the point. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. I request anybody else has any questions, they can ask Prabhuji.
I just want to thank Prabhuji for very nice discussion.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam, or glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for this wonderful class. Actually, I have one question that I don't know, maybe I missed that point. That those who worship Lord Shiva or Shakti or energy of Lord, or in any form like these two forms of Lord, so what would be their destination? So that is my question. Those who are a staunch devotee of Shakti, or those who are a staunch devotee of Lord Shiva, so what would be their destination? It's like, how should we take it?
Krishna clearly says in the Gita, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. So those who worship, whomever you worship, you go to that person. So if you worship Lord Shiva, you go to Lord Shiva. If you worship Shakti, you go to Shakti, which is also a very great position. I'm not minimizing it. If you go to Lord Shiva, then what will Lord Shiva do? He will convert you into Vaishnava. That means he will teach you to do devotional service. So the example of Ghantasur is there. Ghantasur was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, but he did not like the Supreme Personality of God. But ultimately Lord Shiva instructed him to become a devotee of Vishnu. So in that way, Lord Shiva, eventually, those who attain Lord Shiva will take them to Krishna. Eventually, if they are sincere and if they are pure in their bhakti, or in their actually bhakti is only for Krishna, but if they are pure in their motivation and if they are sincere in their worship, then Lord Shiva also will direct them to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But that is a very indirect process. That is a long process. First, you have to so, and it may take several lifetimes for that person to ultimately attain Krishna. But if you get that direct process of devotional service, that is, and if you take advantage of it, then it is definitely much better. If you are more fortunate, then you'll get the process of bhakti directly instead of going to Shiva, or if you're worshipping. Prabhupada asked, what about Christians, those who follow Jesus Christ very strictly, what will happen to them? Prabhupada said they will go to Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ will take them to Krishna. Right? So the point is that, if you worship Lord Shiva, you go to Lord Shiva. If you worship Shakti, you go to Shakti. And then eventually, gradually, that personality will also, but it may take a lot of time also for you to get purified enough to be able to attain the platform of bhakti to Krishna. It may take many lifetimes. Even in the worship of Lord Shiva or Shakti, it can take quite some time for you to, to come to that stage where you can get that from Lord Shiva or whoever. So yeah, so that is an indirect process, which is also ultimately it will attain. Ultimately you will attain, but it will take long time. And then also you will only attain if you are very, very sincere and very, very strict, and that too after many lifetimes. So why we go for the indirect path? So better to go for the direct path. That is the advice. But if those who are not able to attain the direct path, for them that is also there as another option. That's why we don't blaspheme the Vedas. We don't criticize the Vedas. We don't say that the Vedas are wrong. Because Vedas are also ultimately they'll reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead only, but indirectly after a long process.
Yeah, actually, in previous verses it was mentioned that the Shambhu is also a form of Vishnu, and he has his spiritual planet, and Shiva has his planet above the Brahmalok. So it's like my confusion is like even though Shiva is like situated in one of the Vaikuntha planets, so it's like there I get confused that why don't the devotee of Lord Shiva are like eternally situated in his planet. So this is means like I can understand the perfection of bhakti is like to attain Krishna, to attain the prema of Krishna. He is our ultimate goal. He is the ultimate goal of each and every living being. But my confusion starts where it is being said that although Shiva is like situated in one of the Vaikuntha planet and he is none other than Lord Vishnu. It's like when Lord Vishnu glances upon the nature and the entire thing became Shambhu. So that's where my confusion starts.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if I get where exactly is the point of confusion. I'm not sure. Like I understand that are you confused about whether Lord Shiva is also Vishnu Tattva, or you're confused about whether that is also...
My confusion is like, when a staunch devotee of Shiva reaches to Shiva planet, which is none other than Vaikuntha Loka. So, it's like why you are saying that it may take many lifetimes to reach him to the planet, to the level of bhakti, because Shiva would give him bhakti ultimately, because Vaishnavana Yatha Shambhu. So it's like my confusion starts here only. So why he has to come back on this planet Earth and go back, come and go? So why can't he perform it? Like,
good.
This is the...
Yeah, it is actually because he does not recognize the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the reason. Because he does not see Lord Shiva as a servant of Krishna, which is actually his original position. The demigod worshippers, they think that the demigod themselves are supreme. Worshippers of Shiva, they think that Shiva is the supreme. The worshippers of Devi, they think Devi is supreme. And that is not correct. And because of that, because of not knowing the real position of the Supreme Lord, and because of not knowing the position of demigod also, they don't understand that they are also agent of the Supreme Lord, that they are also servant of the Supreme Lord. And also our own position, our own eternal constitutional position is what? Our eternal constitutional position is not servant of demigod. Our eternal constitutional position is servant of the Supreme Personality of God. Jiva Bhava Krishna Nityadas. So, because they don't understand their original position as Krishna Nityadas, and they don't understand that demigod is also Krishna Nityadas, because of that mistake, they have to take long time. For them to come to that realization, it will take time. Like some people, they will understand just by hearing. But some people, they don't accept just by hearing. So they have to, go through a lot of experiences, and then finally they'll realize. So that is naturally for those who don't accept the words of a pure devotee or the scriptures. For them, they have to go through a tough experience, and then only they can. For that experience, it will take long time, because they have to understand that ultimately, this demigod, this is also actually a devotee of Krishna. And they cannot understand why, because they have envy to Krishna. Because they are not ready to surrender to Krishna. Therefore, it will take some time for them to come to that point. To that point of realization that actually, yes, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and I am his eternal servant. And this demigod is also his eternal servant. So,
okay.
Yeah, so realization always takes time. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I give you a small comment, please? Thank you.
Yeah.
If you're talking about, it's not that Lord Shiva has a Vaikuntha, but the Sadashiva has his planet in Vaikuntha Loka. And from his expansion comes this Lord Shiva in material creation. That's when usually the people are worshipping. If they are worshipping Sadashiva, then they can go to Vaikuntha planet, where Sadashiva lives. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Well, actually, Srila Prabhupada explains that Shiva, in fact, Shiva is not different from Krishna, but we have to understand that Shiva Tattva is also subordinate to Vishnu Tattva. When we do not understand that point, then there is always it is always partial. Sadashiva also we have to understand in relation to Krishna. We have to understand in relation to Krishna. When we understand that Sadashiva is an expansion of Krishna, then your worship is properly situated. But if we do not understand that point, then it is not. It is not.
That's true. Yeah, all Vishnu Tattvas are serving Krishna. Thank you.
Right.
So the whole point I got, Prabhuji, that even though we are worshipping Shiva, and if we have, we are worshipping Shiva because we have envy with Krishna, we are not ready to accept Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. So with that animical feeling, we cannot enter into any Vaikuntha planet. So this is my whole intake. Is that right?
Yes, that is absolutely right. And we all have envy. That's what we should understand. Unless you are a pure devotee, only pure devotee is free from envy. But otherwise, we all came to this material world because of envy only. So we have envy towards the Supreme Lord, invariably. So unless we accept the position of Krishna that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, any other position is also directly or indirectly a position of envy. So therefore, unless we understand that Lord Shiva is also an agent or a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then our realization is not complete. And so therefore we are not fit to attain Vaikuntha or Goloka Vrindavan until we come to that realization that yes, all the demigods, including Lord Shiva or anyone else, is also an eternal servant of Krishna. And I am also eternal servant of Krishna. To come to that, unless you come there, you cannot go back to Godhead.
Thank you so
According
much.
According to Prabhupada's teachings. Yeah.
Thank you for wonderful points.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Very wonderful discussion. It cleared a lot of doubts. Prabhu, if you have 1 minute, I just want to share. I was also confused about this Shiva Bhakti, and I was a Shiva Bhakt before myself. So what I have learned, and you can verify or contradict it, that Shiva Loka is actually above Brahma Loka, and it's actually outside the material creation. It is in the spiritual sky, but it is not one of the Vaikuntha planets. The Vaikuntha planets, each like Vamanlok has his own planet, Narasimhadev has his own planet, there is Ayodhya where Ram and Sita lives. So similarly, Sadashiv lives in the Shiva Lok, and all those who worship Shiva, they go to the Shiva Lok, and the Shiva Lok is again governed by the mode of ignorance. All the, the paraphernalia and the associates of Shiva, the one-eyed goblins and the ghosts and all those people live on that planet. So if you worship Shiva, you go there, and that also planet is also eternal. When the material creation is destroyed, Brahma dies, but that planet survives. So it is in the spiritual sky, but it is not considered the Vaikuntha And then, as you said very rightly, Shiva actually, tells his devotees to go and worship Krishna, go to the higher understanding and realization. So that was what I had understood. I hope it's okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, very nice class and very nice discussion. Now it's almost the time, so let's offer our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhu
Vaishnava